I'm Shalene from TSC Tuition, and today I'll be talking about how to make the most of your tutoring sessions. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you are already working with a tutor. If you're not already working with a tutor, then I would suggest that you watch my other video first about whether or not you need to be working with a tutor. But assuming that you are already working with a tutor, what are some things you can do to make the most out of those very expensive tutoring sessions that you're paying for? There are a few things that I recommend all of our students do to make the most of their sessions with us. The first, and it may be very obvious but not everybody does this, is to read the text. If you rock up to a session without having read the play or the novel or watched the movie or read the poem or short story or whatever it is that you're working on at school, there are very few things we can do with you. Now, of course we can sit down with you and read the thing together, but unless you're really struggling with comprehension problems, I would say it's not a great use of your time, of our time, or of your money. And the truth is, if you haven't read the text or watched the text, whatever it may be, it's really hard for us to come up with activities on the spot that's going to be productive for you. TSC tutors have an arsenal of activities and exercises that we can do with students if students rock up without having read the text, but I'm going to tell you the truth here. Those activities are nowhere near as beneficial for you, the student, if you've just read the text and we can just get on with talking about the themes and the characters and maybe do a bit of writing on that. So the first thing I would really suggest any student do when they're looking at how they can get more out of their tutoring sessions is to just read the text first. And hey, guess what? This is good advice for rocking up to class in school as well. If you rock up to class having read the text, you are going to get so much more out of that class, I promise you. My second suggestion to getting the most out of your tutoring sessions is if you're working on a prompt at school, bring your prompt from school. The number of times I've had students rock up to a session and say something along the lines of, "Oh, hi Shalene, yeah, we were working on a prompt today and I was really hoping that we could work on it," and I say, "That's great, what's the prompt?" And they go, "I can't really remember." I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? I can't access my students' memories and just look through it like a video and find out what the prompt is for them. The student has to bring the prompt themselves. And this is what really makes me tear my hair out. When you want to work with your tutor on your essay, we really need the prompt. It's not good enough to just tell us that, oh, you know, this prompt was about fate and destiny. We can say a million things about fate and destiny. And an essay is not just a rant about fate and destiny. An essay is a long-form answer to a question. If we don't know what the question is, there is no possible way that we can answer that question well. So please, if you're working with a tutor, you have a prompt from school, bring the prompt from school. I really don't care how you do it, if you have to take a picture on your phone, if you write it down, if it's on your OneNote, on a OneDrive, on your Google Docs, on your Compass. It really doesn't matter as long as we have the words of the prompt. And this brings me to my third suggestion for getting the most out of your tutoring sessions. That is to bring your books. If you come to a tutoring session and you know that you're going to be trying to write a practice essay or an essay plan for an essay prompt, it would be really helpful if we had your books from school. If you have been taking any kind of notes at school, or if your teacher's been giving you handouts, or if it's all on a Compass or a OneNote or a Google Drive somewhere where your teacher's given you notes on what you guys have been talking about in class, that's going to be super helpful for working on your essay. The wonderful thing about English is that there is no one interpretation of any text. In fact, the number of interpretations of any text is virtually unlimited. Now, the unfortunate thing is that you, the high school student, cannot understand all of these interpretations in the space of a couple of weeks that you devote to the text during school time. So we as tutors really try to work with what you've been talking about in class so that we don't confuse you with all these different interpretations out there. And what we do as TSE tutors, and also any good tutor will do, is to work with what you already know about the text. So if you've been talking about a certain kind of fate and destiny at school, your tutor should be working with you to develop that understanding further, not to teach you a new idea about fate and destiny. Now, the thing is, it's really hard for us to help you work on developing your existing understanding of the themes and ideas if we can't see the notes you already have. And guess what? If you don't have the notes from school, it's also very hard for you to write that essay plan or write that essay itself. So do us all a favour and just bring your notes to your session. My last suggestion for getting the most out of your tutoring session is one that most students are not quite happy to hear, and that is to write something. Now, of course, what we often do in a tutoring session is to write something. But it's really helpful if the student's already written something beforehand. We at TSE Tuition always encourage our students to send their pieces to us during the week so that we can have a look at it, give feedback, give comments before the next session. Not surprisingly, not a lot of students do this. If you rock up to a session having written virtually nothing between the last session and today, well then guess what? We are picking up exactly where we left off last time. So while we're writing in this session, you are still practicing your writing skills. It would be so much better if you just practice that skill at home and we just refined it in the session. I know it's hard to write essay plans and essay paragraphs and just essays themselves, but it's why you go to tutoring, because it's hard. If we did easy things in the tutoring session, it would be a complete waste of your time and your money. The point of what you do in a tutoring session and the point of what we ask you to do outside of the tutoring session is meant to be hard, because that's the only way you'll get better. Let me put this to you in terms of fitness goals. You can sit and watch YouTube videos of lots of people working out, doing CrossFit, running marathons, playing games of sport. But the thing is, if you don't get off your backside and go and do some exercise yourself, which is quite difficult, exercise is not a comfortable activity, but if you don't get off your bottom and go and do exercise, you're never going to get fit. You're never going to run that marathon, you're never going to play that sport, you're never going to do any kind of chin-up or push-up or sit-up or whatever it is that you want it to do. But the thing is, you're never going to get to that point where you can do those things comfortably if you don't push past the discomfort first. The same applies to writing. Writing is hard. You're not the only one who finds it hard. I would argue most people on earth find writing things like essays incredibly hard. But that shouldn't put you off from practicing. So I hope that was helpful. I'm sorry if I sounded a little bit aggressive talking about this. It just really gets my goat when students rock up having done absolutely nothing and bringing absolutely nothing to the session. It's just one of my pet peeves. But if you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to all of our social media so you can stay updated with all of the latest tips and tricks that we post to achieving your best for BCE English subjects. And if you'd like to get some one-to-one tutoring, provided that you are in the eastern suburbs, let us know and we can send someone to you. Thanks for watching.